It's the new season and I'm going to be walking to every Premier League club in London on Don Robbie's football march to raise awareness and money for Prostate Cancer UK. I'm going on the ultimate scouting mission to find out what our London rivals have got in store this season. I'll be giving my passion a football purpose by supporting one of my favourite charities, Prostate Cancer UK. Did you know that prostate cancer is the most common cancer in men? 1 in 4 black men will get prostate cancer, and that's double the risk of white men. Don Robbie's Football March is about raising funds to find better tests and treatments to save men's lives. So how can you help? Keep an eye out for the updates, share my stories about my challenge, and sponsor me to help me save men's lives. Search Don Robbie's Football March on Just Giving or check out the links in my bio. I can't wait.
Hi everyone, my name is Laurie and welcome along to the Starting 11 show. For those of you unaware, the Starting 11 show is a show where we briefly discuss tonight's Arsenal latest pre-season game against the German champions Bayer Leverkusen. We'll also look at the lineups of the two teams and discuss any other relevant matters. But without any further ado, let me first introduce my special guest for the show today. I'm delighted that we've got two very esteemed AFTV influencers in the building. To my left, the very learned, erudite and tactically astute connoisseur, James B in the building.
Thank you.
Come on.
I'm not. It's new season. It's new season.
New season. If you're not gonna clap him, at least give me.
Yeah. Good.
Because I've got one for you as well, man. To my right, the ever popular, not to mention forthright, the North London Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, Turkish in the building.
Thank you.
I hope that wasn't too corny, but
you didn't let us know. We would have prepared something.
I thought we were going to, let's get to the starting 11 people. Tim's injured, let's talk.
I think he saw Curtis, and he thought, oh shit,
yeah.
cheap intro, let's bring it back.
I had to come with something a little different because James smashes it all the time, so I had to come with something a little bit different. But anyway, how are you guys both doing today, man?
Yeah,
looking forward to it?
Good.
Looking forward to the game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. Obviously, we'll go into some potential injury news or players absent, which I can't lie. Two of the players I was most excited about, Timber and Kiwior, we'll go into all that. It's not for Arsenal fans to panic or worry about, but doesn't look like they're going to play today. Otherwise, we'll just see how ready the team is. I don't think any of the England boys will be involved, but if they are, that would obviously make it exciting. And in 27 minutes, we're going to find out.
Yeah. I must say I'm looking forward to this game. I did say on our preview show the other day that as far as opponents go, we've already played Liverpool, Man United, but other than those two, I guess you could make a case for Tottenham, but that's never going to happen. But Leverkusen, what a great team to play.
It's a very good test.
German champions, unbelievable season last year, real young, progressive manager. The return of Granit Xhaka, possibly. So, man, it's as far as friendlies go, I think this is
it's got a bit behind it,
Yeah, I think this has got some substance.
I think the US tour is more a cap on last season, and these two games coming up are the ones that, really get you going into this season. And I think Leverkusen, I don't know about Lyon, to be honest, but Leverkusen's a good time. Yeah,
definitely. I'm looking forward to the game today. It's not all the time you get to see Leverkusen in the flesh, as it were. And like I said, coming off that season last season where they were simply brilliant, then
Yeah, it's a very good test. I echo what you were saying there, Turkish. The two previous tours, 23 and 22, they were about the team. You saw the team building up throughout the tour to a point where you're like, right, I see what Arteta's going for. You see when we beat Barcelona 5-3 last year, that Jesus, Trossard, Havertz combination we saw a few times throughout the season, tried certain things. I don't think we've come away from this trip, as amazing as it was, and of course entertaining games, and we got an idea for what Arsenal could look like next season, but there's so many players missing, and there was so much that Arteta, I think, really treated it as more of a, yes, of course, an opportunity to get some tactics into the team and get them ready, get them match fit, but also really just to get minutes in the legs. Now these two games, there's no coincidence that they've wanted to get 2 Emirates games in before, because they want to get. I think these are the games where Arteta sees the opportunity with the players returning to actually get them match fit.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, obviously you guys are out there and it looked like you had a great time out there. I saw the content. They looked really good, I've got to say. But in terms of the overall success of the pre-season tour, that part of it, the American trip, would you say it was a success? Get the words out. Curtis.
Don't worry. I've had Curtis recently. I had troops in the US. What was the question?
Overall, do you deem the tour
um,
to be a success? I mean, not in terms of results, obviously, because there's more to it than results.
Listen, as a fan from London, yeah, it's always a success seeing the American fans. But I will say, like the Bournemouth game, you know, the numbers in the stands. I think the last minute prep for that one potentially caused that. I think, you know, with the Euros as well, it was a tough ask. But I also think the level of money they can bring in from doing a few games in America, I think, you know, it's always going to make sense for them. But overall, for me, it's always a success if I'm there enjoying as well amongst them, and you can see the love and how connected they are to Arsenal as well.
Do you think in terms of what Mikel Arteta is looking to obtain?
But on that front, on that front, we could lose all 3 games and win all 3 games. I'm not too... You know.
Oh no, I was more thinking of the preparation. So, in terms of what he was expecting to get out of it from a preparation point of view,
you can't. Because after Euros, with the amount of players that we had out missing, you can't get an ideal. I mean, the best thing about it was seeing Ranieri and Lewis Skelly and, you know, a couple other young players. Obviously, Odegaard pulling the strings. But the reality is, it was more just, you know, a chance to get out there and give our fans over in America, South America, Caribbean as well, a chance to see us live.
Dare I say it was, because I went into it with very kind of low expectations in terms of a performance perspective. So I really got more out of the tour than I actually expected going there. I don't think we got what we got from the previous tours and in terms of an understanding of the team and their readiness for the season. But to see the likes of Nwaneri, Salah-Eddin, Heaven come in as well, Lewis Skelly, Josh Nichols at right back, and the team didn't really, whether they were on the pitch or not, the team kind of played to the same level, the same intensity, the same dual-winning mentality, the same pace in their passing. Football. Yeah, it was. And actually, I took a lot more encouragement for that perspective as well. I mean, that Bournemouth game was probably the most encouraging of the 3, weirdly, because we went up against their first 11 with a lot of kids out there, and they absolutely stood up to the task. It was a good physical test for them as well. Arsenal didn't get anywhere near to the levels I would like throughout the season in terms of chance creation and efficiency in the box. So it's not like I'm going into this going, wow, we could score 3 today if we're on it, because we haven't seen that in pre-season yet. But I definitely felt there was a pace and a tempo and an intensity that I thought, okay, fair enough. This is a little bit more than what I expected. And the youngsters drove a lot of that as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that the youngsters were the overriding success of the tour. It was good to get a look at those guys. Is there anyone in particular? Because there was quite a few youngsters that featured. I mean, I've got a couple of personal standouts. But
who are yours?
I
want to hear yours first, actually. Go on. I'm just interested because there were a lot of differing opinions.
Yeah. The 2 that really took my... Actually, no, there might be 3. But Ethan Nwaneri, obviously, he did very well. I've got to say, I was impressed with the midfielder, Salah.
I thought he did well.
He looked really good. And yeah, Miles Skelly as well. Yeah. Heaven had a bit of a rocky game with the United with the error.
Responded really well.
Not so much the error. He kind of got pushed off it. Got bullied a little bit, didn't he, by Højlund?
Well, I thought he did for the goal, and then I thought he responded really well for the rest of the game. I think the standout for me was Nwaneri, but Salah-Eddin, very impressive 45 against Man United. I thought Lewis Skelly, especially in the Liverpool cameo, I was like, fair play. He's looking really good there. They all did their bit. Josh Nichols, I thought, struggled against Semenyo in the Bournemouth game, and then against Man United, Liverpool looked great. I said, fair play. Actually, we don't have a marauding right back. I know Ben White does that in the team, but almost as a primary function, that really pacey, kind of more nimble right back that can overlap. Maybe Nichols is one for the future in that area of the squad. So, I was really encouraged. I'm just going to cut you all, though, very quickly. Just an exclusive from Connor Hum. Ricardo Calafiori was spotted with the Arsenal squad, even got footage of it. He arrived with them to the Emirates for the Bayer Leverkusen game. He's in full training gear. He does go on to say, Connor, this doesn't mean he's in the squad, by the way, which is true. I mean, we've seen Saka arrive for games that he's not in the squad for. But, okay.
What was the rumour beforehand?
So the rumour beforehand was that tiredness and fatigue is why he's not.
I must admit, when you told me that off camera, I was like, what? I thought you were winding me up because
no, that's the apparent rumour.
If you take that in isolation, it's not really a good look, is it? I'm sure there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But when you told me that, I was like, what? You know what I mean? The man's just rocked up. He's 22 years old. You're telling me he's tired and all that already? Come on.
Well, and Jorginho being obviously an Italian player as well, who has been back for the whole of pre-season. So there's nothing in terms of trying to measure out his return. Italy, famously, as I know, got knocked out very, very early. So, look, I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with, I don't know. I imagine there's so much that goes into a transfer. I've got no doubt if he wanted to play today and he could play, he would. So I don't know.
Do you think they'll just kind of introduce him to the fans then, or what?
They might do that. They might have brought him just to sort of welcome him to the Emirates Stadium. It could be that. The other player, though, the rumours are around. Not rumours, actually reports from Gary Jacobs at the Times that a load-bearing injury is the reason why Jurrien Timber is unlikely to be involved in this. Now, interestingly.
For the benefit of the uninitiated,
yes,
as I was when you first told me, explain to the people what a load injury is.
I don't know. So basically, what I think from what people have said online and basically looking up a brief description, it's when you're returning from especially from a long-term injury,
right?
I think the amount of work you do can obviously just have effects on the body that you just need to manage. So
like the stress levels.
I think so. I essentially the party line is nothing to worry about. This is completely normal, and actually, I think maybe it's going to alter Arsenal fans' thinking a little bit, which is this whole first season might be a little bit of in and out for Timber. You know, he plays on a Saturday, but don't expect him on the Wednesday. He might then play on the Sunday after that, and it might be a case of taking his time with it because. I mean, he literally got injured 60 minutes into his Premier League debut, and he came on the 60th minute of the final game of the season. He played 190 minutes, and we heard rumours from February, March that he was we saw him training in Dubai, didn't we? He was out in Dubai playing and kicking a ball. So for him to kick a ball in January in Dubai and then not really get minutes till the end of May tells you this is one that maybe needs a lot of time and a lot of
he will.
Bracing.
I must admit, I was a little concerned when I heard that because obviously what happened last year was awful, not just from an Arsenal perspective, for him personally, especially given that he'd impressed so much prior to that. He was looking like he was really going to be the real deal. That happens, and then we don't see him for pretty much the rest of the season. So,
well, you wonder how deliberate it is. Sorry to cut you. You wonder because starting the Bournemouth game and starting the Man United game 3 days later is strange. If you're talking about managing load to the point where then he doesn't play the 2 games in the 10
days
more to
after. It. 100% there's more to it.
Right.
Because after the game, what was the last Liverpool game? There was no real reason for why he was out. It was more rested, kind of the rumour. Yeah. Now it's a load bearing. It's one that, off the back of injuries like this, you're going to get problems. It's probably there's been a problem which can be nervy, but when you look at our only signing so far this summer, I'm not too nervous considering we've already added to a defence that was the best in the league without Timber. So I wish him the best, and we were finally in a position not to rely on him, not to say it's like a new signing right now because he still needs time.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
No, I agree. And what you said there is something that I've said in previous shows prior to this one, is that him coming back, this is almost like a new signing, really, isn't it?
Well, no, I don't class it this season. Not this season, because I'm expecting him to, like James said, come in and out. Like with Jesus, I expected problems after. You know, you have to expect problems with these sorts of injuries. You can't be surprised.
I was more coming at it from because we didn't see next to nothing of him last season.
Because we signed Calafiori,
it's almost like a new signing.
If we didn't sign Calafiori, I'd lean more towards that. But because we have, I feel like that was a big signing for us to allow Timber to be able to recuperate and get the game time when he needs, where he needs, and slowly but surely maybe be relied upon come January, second half of the season. Maybe in January he'll feel like more of a new signing for me. Right now it's more of a, get your minutes in, don't fuck up, get your, let's hope for the best, and January go compete.
Okay, then. So we've talked about a couple of guys that might not feature or are unlikely to feature. Could I just get your guys' opinion on players that you're perhaps looking forward to seeing tonight even? Game starts at 6.
Who are you looking forward to seeing tonight?
Every time I ask a question, you keep batting it back to me.
Yeah, I'm
here for a reason, man. I'm asking the question. Listen. I was going to say Calafiori was one of the main ones I was looking to see.
Touch and go now.
A few more of the youngsters, and I guess there'll be what I call a liberal spread of all the players. I would imagine a lot of the guys will get a look in.
Can I be pedantic?
Yeah, go ahead.
My excitement to see certain players depends on the 11. And what I mean by that, if I see Nwaneri, Jorginho, Saladin, let's say, as the starting midfield three, sort of similar to the Bournemouth game, I'm not quite as excited as I would be seeing him start with Ødegaard in there. Or the first team is around.
I'm pretty sure Ødegaard will play.
Yeah, no, I think he will. Yeah. I just mean more there's context. So Havertz, if he's starting up front, I'm excited to see him because I want to know. We haven't signed a striker.
I hear you. So you're saying you want to see a team that more represents what we might go with.
It's
on the first day
it's in the context of where I think our squad is and where I think these players are going to have to play a lot next season is kind of going to dictate how excited I am to see them in this game. If I don't want to be rude because I'm a massive Gabby Jesus fan. Seeing him today up front, yeah, okay, cool. It'd be good to see how he does. But if I see him start on the right with Havertz up front, that's going to be really interesting to me. You got your starting 9. Saka, we know, can't play every minute of every game all the time. We've been lucky with his injuries so far. So I really want to see if Jesus can kind of take that position. And there's a few areas of the pitch like that. If Gabriel starts with a Timber or a Saliba, then I'm quite excited to see that partnership. But if he starts alongside Kiwior, I'm a bit it's his, it's the left-footed centre-back who's just deputising in the absence of basically 3-4 other players. So it just depends on the 11, and kind of what it looks like. I don't mean to be pedantic and
but you know what? That
is
a bit of a preemptive strike on your part because that was going to be one of my supplementary questions. I was going to say, how serious do you think the manager will take it?
I hope very.
Yeah.
As serious as he can with what he's got.
What's that, sorry?
As serious as he can with what he's got.
So that would seem to indicate then that he might go strong because we're getting down to, the last couple of weeks before the season starts. So you want to see a team take the pitch that closely resembles
80% of this, I say 80,
what he's going to start with.
It's hard to say 80% not knowing the lineup, but ideally your second last pre-season game, 10 days off your first fixture, you want 80% of that side to be starting. But I don't think we'll probably reach 80% today, considering some of the names we've been missing.
Or he might start that team and then take them off and bring in some of the young guys. Or do you think he'll do it in reverse?
But it's I don't know about Rice, Saka, Saliba. These men ain't going to be in the squad yet. So
no, I'd be amazed if they are. Some people on socials were expecting it, but I'd be amazed. I think they might be at the Emirates. Yeah, they might just kind of be with the group and be a part of it all. But I'd be amazed if they kick a ball. Even if they play 20 minutes, I'd be absolutely staggered because, I think it's touch and go whether they're ready to start for Wolves next week. Obviously, that's not how I want it. I want them to be. But just kind of history tells us that it is a bit touch and go whether these players who go far in tournaments are able to start that opening weekend. I don't see them starting 10 days early or getting minutes 10 days earlier in some friendlies. If they do, listen, I'm not complaining. I'll be delighted about it. For what it's worth, by the way, Miles Lewis-Skelly has posted on Instagram. It's just a photo of his shirt, so he will be in the squad in some capacity, which we expected. Interested to see if he starts. And obviously Zinchenko could well be starting with his new number 17 now.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Zinchenko because he's been a bit of a somewhat polarising figure.
Yeah.
In latter months, shall we say, certainly towards the end of last season and during pre-season. There's quite a few fans who are actually saying that, that ship may have sailed, especially with the signing of Calafiore. What's your thoughts on that?
I put, would you put Jesus and Zinchenko in a slightly similar bracket actually, which is what they did their first season. I haven't forgotten despite their second season not getting to those levels. Now, very different context for Jesus, who had the bad knee injury. You've got to just acknowledge that played a massive part. With Zinchenko, of course, he had injuries, but they were sort of smaller injuries, kept on a couple of weeks to a month or whatever, and actually his form just declined. Plus, we kind of moved on tactically a little bit from what we did with Zinchenko inverting a lot. I have no problem with both, but Zinchenko staying. I've got no problem with him staying another year. I don't think our best version...
Can I just hold you there? Is that
it.
more to do with, seemingly anyway, it would appear we didn't get any decent offers for him or serious offers?
I'd have wanted...
Does the manager want to keep him?
I'd have wanted 35 million. I would have wanted our money back for him if a bid did come in before I'd even explore. I wasn't kind of like a 20 million he can go, because the thing with Zinchenko is we like to make excuse for certain players, but maybe not see how it impacts others. So Martinelli last season really struggled. It's no coincidence that in the absence of Granit Xhaka selling him, we never sorted out who that third central midfielder, left central midfielder was. We eventually reverted to Rice, even though we seemed to really want him in the six before. We kept twisting and turning with centre-back. Trossard and Martinelli were kind of in and out of that left-hand side. But if you sort that out, if you get that left central midfielder in the team, does that help Zinchenko? Someone to find his passes in the way Xhaka did that first season. Now, maybe not. Maybe he's just been found out. Maybe teams are like, oh, we get it. You invert Zinchenko. We've got a plan for that now. That could be it. But because he was so good in our first season, albeit got exposed defensively at times, but because he was so good, I'd want to still see another season. And I don't think our best team, I don't think the best version of this Arsenal squad starts with Zinchenko in it. But does he have a part to play in the squad at some point in the season? I think he does. So I'm happy for him to stay.
Turkish?
Comes down to the bid and the lack of it, really, to test the waters, because it's, we have a very, very good defensive unit and very good options for left back now. We're talking inverting as well.
You thinking Lewis Skelly could be doing that?
And he'd be third choice probably behind Calafiori and Timber.
You think? Yeah.
So it depends on how he'd want to play it. And when I watch Lewis Skelly in the US, he picks up good positions. He's confident in different areas on the pitch. He's on the ball, off the ball, making space for himself. Very, very similar setup. I mean, look, James said it earlier. The way we played in that first game with the amount of changes. I said it in my fan cam for that. Very reminiscent of how we play, with the first team last season. So it's good to see it reading through. So I think if there was a bid, then we probably would have entertained it. But with the lack of it, I don't think it's in dire need, because it's not like I feel like he's an asset that's going to bring us a hell of a lot of money either.
Can I just give you some leaked news that's doing the rounds on socials from George Bird? I will go to double check this, but it supposedly has a team sheet, and Ramsdale, Saliba, Calafiori, it's got Timber there too. A lot of players, David Raya supposedly, are all on this team sheet that's doing the rounds. But may I say, this also looks like a squad list. So
Who's the guy?
George Bird, spelled J.
Never heard of him. It's not.
Oh, okay, sorry. We all got too excited there, so ignore me. It's been shared a bit falsely on social. So this is the Arsenal squad in the matchday programme, and Kieran Tierney's not included in it. Right, there we go.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him as well.
So there we go. Everyone false alarm. The aggregator's got me for a sec.
Well, I mean, the whole false stuff doing the rounds on social media has become a bit of a topical item in recent days, but we won't go there. But yeah, Turkish, I didn't come to you, did I? Players that you hopefully looking to see play today.
And yeah, really, with Skelly will be two of them. Wouldn't mind seeing Saladin as well. Wouldn't mind that. But as strong as we can make it today, that's what I want to see us start with at the very least. So
what about up top? Because a lot has been said about, Arsenal so far anyway, not signing a striker. So you look at our attacking options, and some people, and I've got to include myself in that group,
what are you saying?
Are kind of a little bit, how can I put it? Slightly concerned, I would say. Because I know Robbie, my brother, he gave an interview recently where he talked about, he thought that Havertz is a 20-plus Premier League goal striker. I'm not so sure. I think if we are going to win the title this year or win something significant, I think we do need a striker.
Well, Curtis told him to go get top goal scorer this season. You not see that? Yeah, no, back in the mix zone.
Okay, it's a shame.
Oh yes, yeah, I saw that.
He's the most shameless man.
Yeah.
Premier League top goal scorer. So I'll try.
Where is he?
Yeah, he's in the building. Bless him. I think he might be. So there we go. That's the task.
But yeah, I just wanted your thoughts on that before we move on.
Listen, we can. Because the last 2 years have proved we can win the league. But it's also proved we're up against the juggernaut, which we could have, said before the last two, because we've watched Liverpool go up against him for the years. So we could have won the league over the last two with Jesus up front and with Havertz, but we didn't. I don't think I want a striker. I think we need a striker. I miss the old, Do
you think, like me, that it's pretty much dependent on if we can get a striker worthy of the name through the door, that we will win the title? Because I think everything else, not everything else, but the other areas of the pitch are like pretty much taken care of, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Certainly defences.
But
Goalkeeper is good.
At risk of sounding
Defense is very good.
At risk
Midfield
of
is
again
good.
sounding like a back in my day guy. There's not many options on any list, let alone striker list right now. When you say does it have to be the right name, there is no right name anymore. Isak is probably the one, but even that's a risk because
Well, I don't think we're going to get Isak.
it will not. But then that's it. There is no right name then because everything else would be a shot in the dark, a risk, a punt. It's just the football world now. There isn't an abundance of quality, ready-made talent.
But there are a couple of strikers out there, namely Tony, namely Gyökeres.
But Tony, come on, man. Seriously. Well, nah.
You know.
But would you have Tony
I like
over
Tony.
nothing?
No, don't get it twisted. I like Tony, yeah? I'm not disrespecting, but we're talking about the right name has to come in and we can't be talking about Ivan Tony. Like,
No, I'm with
It's
you.
not-
I'm like, if it gets to 2 days before the end of the window, we've just agreed, say, a £27 million deal for Eddie to go to Marseille, and there's no sign of an incoming, I'd pick up the phone to Brentford. Like,
So
for me, it's
you're
better
like me
nothing.
then? Are you saying what I'm saying then? That you're not wholly confident we can win the title unless we bring in a striker worthy of the name? I'm not saying he's got to be
We've
next coming. He's not got to be the next Haaland, but we do need to strengthen in that department.
We've run City close for 2 years. Really, last season we did. The season before that, we had such an advantage, and then we fell away so much to the point where we ended the season 5 points behind them, and they kind of threw away the last 2 games as well. So when I look at that, I think, do we want to let another season or a summer go by? Not another, but do we want to let a summer go by where we don't improve at all? So is it a case of, well, if the right player's not out there, then we don't do the deal in any way, shape or form? Because can Ivan Toney add something, even in just a handful of games, even in terms of squad depth to keep others fresh, throughout most of the season when we're playing in other competitions? I think from that perspective, if it gets desperate, then I would consider some of those other signings. But I don't think we're there yet. And because we're in a situation where we have quite a versatile set of options in the front line, whether it's a striker or a winger of some sort, I think we've got lots of options we can explore. But generally, yeah, if it gets... And I'm not disrespecting Tony when I say, well, only if we're desperate I'd sign. I think he's a good player who'd add something. I just think there are others we could explore before.
Well, let me give you my rationale for what I'm saying is. So, right, last season, as you know, we all finished second. We did run Man City very close, closer than the previous year when we also finished second. But if you look at it logically, yeah, so of those 38 games, we won 28. We lost 5, we drew 5. I think it's fair to say that of those 10 games that we didn't win, there were a number of those games. I'm not going to go through them all one by one, but there was a number of those games where we enjoyed the majority of the possession in those games, had the majority of the chances, should really have won them. It probably came down to us not taking our chances. We all know that football is a relatively low-scoring game, especially at the top level. And it's my contention is that you do need... And it's not impossible to win the league without a top-class striker and this so-called sharing the goals around. But that is an unlikely scenario. If you're really going to be that team that wins what I call the majors, the league, Champions League, even the FA Cup, you need a guy in your team that you get a couple of chances per game, you know he's going to get at least one.
You need a player in the front three that needs 20 goals. I don't.
Okay.
And
At the moment, I don't think Arsenal have that. We have some very good players. But I don't think that looking at that squad
that's the target for Saka, and that's what a lack of.
Saka got 16 last.
Yeah, but that's
Havertz
what
got 13.
Not bringing a striker in also will increase the pressure on Saka, because last season I expected Saka and Martinelli both to at least get near 20, if not one of them get 20. Martinelli fell off completely, so this season am I expecting Martinelli to get closer? No, I'm expecting him to improve and get double digits. But I'm looking at Saka's trajectory, and now if we don't bring in a striker or a left winger or an attacker that we look at and say, yeah, he's going to come and bring us goals, assists, creativity, something exciting in attack, then there's going to be more pressure on the attackers now, which I don't want as well. That's why if it does come down to the last day and it's a move like that, then cool, do it. But at the same time, I feel like surely this whole process, surely all these phases would have led to a point where we know what our final piece is and what, not a shot in the dark or roll of the dice. But again, do what you need to do. Win the league. That's it.
Yeah, but in answer, do you think it's possible that we can win the league with the personnel we got up front? I'm not so sure. I'd like to think we could, but I honestly
last
think
year
that
we
if
was
we're gonna
one
win
Man
the
City
league,
loss
we
off
need
winning the league.
A striker that can.
But last year we was one Man City loss off winning the league. Like it was a
Well, no, it was
one
two,
game
no.
difference. No, 2-point difference at the end, isn't it? Was it 2-point difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one game swing.
Well, we lost 5 games. They lost 3.
Yeah, but I think they drew maybe
Yeah,
one more or
there's
something.
couple,
But
yeah.
it was a 1-game swing, and we didn't have an out-and-out striker, and Havertz stepped in the second half of the season.
I mean, Havertz performed creditably. I mean, especially when you consider he got off to a relatively slow start. He also played in midfield. So, props to him. I mean, earlier on in the season, last season, he was getting
He still needs
quite a lot of
to
criticism, some of it
kick on.
justified.
He needs to kick on as well.
Yeah, but to be fair to him, over the course of the latter half of last season, he did come good. And he got 13 Premier League goals. But my argument is, if you're going to win the league and you're going to usurp the likes of City, you've got to have a credible threat up top. When I say credible threat, I mean a guy that pretty much guaranteed you're going to get 20 or close to 20 goals. And what I'm saying is, certainly based on what I've seen of Havertz, not just for Arsenal, but for Chelsea, even for Germany, I don't think he's that guy. James, do you agree or not?
Well, my opinion of Kai Havertz changed actually quite dramatically throughout the season. And I'm not even talking about what in terms of his quality, actually, in terms of his attitude and the way he puts himself about and everything. Like, I changed my mind a lot about Kai Havertz as the season went on. But I still didn't come out of it going, the 9 is answered. Like, we have the striker we need. But he did enough to make me think I would still be satisfied if the big addition to the forward line is a winger. But we have to add something, even just to mix it up, even just to freshen it up. I think the Centurions.
But do you know what it is that does that, though?
Yeah.
It's Martinelli's lack of goals that leads you to say that. Because really and truly, when you break it down, there isn't much difference between Jesus' first season at Arsenal and Havertz's first season. Yes, like I said, you can break it down and find differences. But I mean, in terms of output, at the end of it, you have the 11 out.
And
Jesus.
David Raya in goal. White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko.
Right.
Saliba is playing, people.
White, Gabriel, Saliba.
Jorginho, Erdegaard and Havertz. So Havertz in midfield. Vieira, Trossard and Jesus in the front 3. Which is very sorry to cut you. And you're making a great point, which we'll come back to. But that is fascinating. Ramsdale, Setford, Heaven, Lewis Skelly, Nichols, Partey, Rice, Nelson, Nwaneri, Saka, Martinelli and Nketiah all on the bench. No rest for you.
That's the strongest midfield we can put out.
Yeah, probably.
Interesting. So that is fairly strong.
Strongest back 5 bars in
That
it.
is fairly strong.
Can I ask Arteta to do one thing, though? Can you put Havertz up front, Jesus on the right, and Vieira in midfield? That would be great. Instead of Havertz in midfield, Vieira on the right. Just alternate them round.
He's really trying with this Havertz midfield thing, isn't it?
And Vieira on the right. Like, can we just let this go, please? Put the weather best.
I do have the Leverkusen lineup. Do you have that? Or do you
No,
want me to
go for it.
that?
Please do.
It's fairly strong as well, looking at it. Kovar in goal. Hincapié, Jonathan Tah. I think it's Kosunu. Fabio Wirtz, he's playing. Terrier, Tapsoba, Adley, Garcia, Frimpong and Granit Xhaka's playing.
So that's quite a strong team.
That is a quite strong team.
Yeah.
So it would appear that both managers are taking
Good,
this very
man.
seriously, which is what we as fans want to see.
I can't believe Saliba's starting. Rice, Saka, Ramsdale. Ramsdale, fine, makes sense. But by the way, this confirms Hein must be on his way. We know that Real Valladolid, since we did the preview, are now the team.
Yeah, but you
guys
see,
go to.
do you know why I disagree with your reaction to it?
Yeah, go on.
This is the generational thing.
I know.
For me, it's well done, lads. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I know.
But then this new generation are like, yes, it's like, wow. But really, it's not wow. They're fucking professionals. They need to come back and win this league. Come back as early as
Wenger
possible.
bring them in match week 3
Yeah,
off the bench.
okay, fair enough. That's what you
know.
grew up on. Fair. And that made me sick because I'd see Fergie go and play exactly the same.
Pep did the same. Pep
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, you're all back, yeah? Well done on your World Cup win. Do you
No,
want to just
well
stroll
done,
in?
Saka. Listen, Saliba in
One guy
particular.
that
Rice.
we haven't talked about, I'll be interested to hear your opinions on this, and he's been included in the starting lineup today, which I'm
Arteta
quite
wants
pleased
this
about.
title, doesn't he? Arteta's like,
It's time.
back in.
One player that I'll be very interested to hear your views on, he's starting today, which I'm pleased to see, but I think it's a big season for him, for his Arsenal future. Fabio Vieira starts.
Yeah.
But not so much in midfield, it would appear. He's on the wing, right?
It's looking like he's going to play on the wing. And but can I say, right, this was the context I was saying about whether I'm excited. Now I'm excited. I want to see basically a proper back four. Raya in goal as well. I want to see how we're looking from that perspective. We're going to see, I still don't love the Havertz thing in midfield, but I can stomach it knowing that Jorginho, Ødegaard, the back four's there. Vieira out on the right. Now, I don't think he did that well on the right throughout pre-season. He did okay, not great. But how does he look now with the rest of that team?
He did get a goal, didn't he?
A very good goal. Yeah. But I think you could see every time he wanted to take on the fullback, he went, I can't do this. I'm going back inside. So the context of all that, I'm excited. I'm thinking, we're going to watch some proper football today. And I didn't know if we were going to get that. So I'm happy with that. And I actually agree with you, Turkish. Like, that is just what I grew up seeing, was the players just taking forever to get back. Quite clearly, sports science has changed a little bit. The demands and expectations, maybe the player, maybe the ambition. And Arteta's gone, you're back in training and we're going to get you playing some football. So,
that's it.
Yeah.
Fabio Vieira, Turkish.
I'm finished with that guy. I'm not excited, basically. If he does something this season...
Don't hold back, yeah?
Nah, if he does something this season, nice. But really, I mean, it hasn't worked out, has it? He's lightweight. It's not like he's come back and set pre-season alight. Just please do something this season, because we need to win the league. And, even a guy off the bench who's getting maybe 3 assists, 3 goals, that'll go a long way to us winning it. So just do a little something for us. But I'm not looking at him like he's probably the one I see going out next summer now, if I'm honest.
I think it is a big season for him because we've got to be honest, last season was less than flattering. There was injuries there was loss of form. The common knock on him is that he's a bit lightweight. Not particularly suited to Premier League football, if I'm being honest. That's how it looks. But obviously we're hoping that he has a good season this season. So it's kind of nice to see him included. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say some great points coming in from the comments? Jay asking, pointing out there's no Kiwior. And Nachuku was also saying the same thing. Where is Kiwior? It's a really, really good point.
That is a good one. It's interesting about Kiwior because I remember when we did our buy and sell and keep and all that show a little while ago, I got a lot of stick in the comments because I suggested that Kiwior might be surplus to requirements going forward. And I took a lot of stick, people saying, you're trying to chase him out of the club. But I'll be honest with you, I wasn't particularly overwhelmed with him. I know he wasn't always being played in his preferred position, but I kind of looked at him and I thought, going forward, I'm not sure if he's the type of footballer that he's really going to do well at Arsenal. But that was just me.
What about Eddie going forward?
We'll talk about that
later. I like Kiwior. I don't love Kiwior. I think he's a good player.
I would have kept him. Calafiori come in and that's it. He's the first
guy. It's impossible not reading into that he might be on his way when you look at that.
Yeah, but then he also played a lot in the US, so it's quite difficult, isn't it? Because also we haven't heard any rumours or reports saying that Kiwior's imminently going anywhere. So, but then at the same time, that's the reason we all assume Hines not involved, right? Because
there has been some interest from Italy and one or two other
Inter
places.
Milan, Juve, they've all been linked in some way. I think we tried to include in the Calafiori deal, didn't happen. So,
and Kiwior, he is, how old is he now? He's what?
He's young, 24.
24. He's a Polish international. He was represented Poland at the Euros. He'll be thinking that he wants to play football, surely.
Does Lewis Skelly, you were praising him a lot, does that also... I keep thinking, do we have 2 players for each position? At left back, we've got about 6. But are we in a position where basically Kiwior is actually a left centre-back? I always felt in the absence of Gabriel. Well, now you can basically move Saliba along and bring in Timber. You could drop Calafiori straight in there. Tomiyasu plays left centre-back, I think, for Japan. So we have so many options there. He's not a starting left-back. He's probably 5th in the pecking order. I'm not even joking. I honestly think Arteta would sooner start Calafiori, Timber, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Kiwior, and then Lewis Skelly still knocking on the door. So I just wonder whether with all the options Arteta's gone, if Gabriel's to pick up a suspension or an injury, I think he tucks in Calafiori before he brings in Kiwior.
Yeah, he would, yeah.
So, then you've got a youngster in Lewis Skelly who can play his academy minutes, and if there's an injury crisis, we've got no problem bringing him in with the quality he's shown. So maybe it just is a case of my friend, you're actually quite a good player, but there just is no room for you. We are so covered. Maybe that's all it is.
Yeah, I happen to agree, and I think that I think the long-term prognosis if your Kiwior doesn't look great, especially when we look at the squad today, and he's nowhere to be seen, and you got half a dozen youngsters in it, so yeah, not good from a Kiwior perspective. But I did kind of highlight that situation as potentially happening as early as in the middle of last season. So
could also just be an injury. So let's wait and see.
Yeah.
I'll keep refreshing.
But if he was injured, I'm sure you would have heard.
We'll know by the time the match starts. But they'll say it on Twitter or something.
Your views on Trossard? He's getting a start today. He didn't feature too much in the American tour, did he?
No. Try
Is he another one of those that's in this is a big season? I mean,
man.
We all know his qualities.
Trossard's done enough to warrant the value that we spent on him already. We should have just won one of these leagues. But if he produces the same he's produced in his first 18 months or the next 12 months, we're happy.
Yeah, I hear that, but you speak to some fans.
He ain't gonna. I don't want him to be a starter. I don't expect him to become a starter in this.
Well, this is what I was going to say. You speak to a lot of fans, and what they say about Trossard is, yes, very technically capable, good finisher, but when he starts, doesn't always make the right impact or correct impact. James, do you think that's fair? Or?
I think Trossard's so hot and cold because he was really clutching the run into the season, and let's not play that down, right? Because how many times have we called on other players when it comes to crunch time to sort of step up, and Trossard's there getting goals at Old Trafford to win the game, sealing the win against Bournemouth and getting some really big goals in the running. So fair play to Trossard, clearly an experienced player who isn't overruled by the occasion. I absolutely believe all that. I think he lacks pace to be our everyday out-and-out winger. But I did a piece the other day where I was looking at the fact that our wingers in the Man United game in particular, without getting too sort of nerdy and tactical and putting league judges to sleep, but our wingers in the Man United game were very narrow. You look at the goal we scored where Trossard and Nelson were standing. You look at some of the better chances we had. They were really, really central. And actually it was White and Zinchenko giving us the width. If we move to something where we can get Trossard off that touchline, and in those areas where his first touch, his close control, his passing, his kind of ability to get a shot off from anywhere, we can get him into those areas, whether it's off the left or as a false nine, then I think he's got loads to add. But I just think when he's shoved out all the way to the touchline, a bit like Vieira, we're basically saying to them, hey guys, can you get the ball out wide, take on a fullback, maybe drive into some space. I just don't think they do that as that. Trossard way better than Vieira at that, but just doesn't come as naturally to either. So I like Trossard a lot. I just don't know if we're using him perfectly, but then his numbers would tell me to.
Oh, he's a quality player. But as I said, the knock on him seems to be when he starts, he doesn't always give you what you're looking for. When he comes on as a sub, he seems to be have far more impact.
His cameo against Liverpool and Philadelphia was brilliant. It was one of the better performances I'd seen throughout the tour, individual in one game. I thought he looked great. That's true. But then against Man United, he was in and out of it, had some moments. Against Bournemouth, I thought he was terrible. So he just that's Leandro Trossard, I guess. I don't know what you're going to get from him, but
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyone else on that subs bench that you're looking forward to seeing? I know. Let's look at the subs again. Ramsdale, Setford, Lewis Skelly, Nichols, Heaven, Partey, Rice, Ranieri, Martinelli, Saka, Nelson, and Nketiah.
Nwaneri for obvious reasons, and Partey needs some fitness, and we need him to start looking like the Partey of 2 years ago. So,
yeah, I was going to say Partey is yet another player where the jury's kind of out on him, isn't it? We know his qualities. We know how good he can be. However, he's been beset by injuries. And again, the knock on him is that sometimes when he comes into the team after those injuries and hiatus is out the team, it takes him a while to get up to speed with play. I think he's just that kind of athlete. He's not what I'd call a fast twitch athlete.
But we don't rely on him no more. We don't rely on him no more. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I think that's where I am. If he can stay fit and give something great, but it's not the reliable.
And I couldn't do this show without touching on Turkish's favourite player.
No, let's not.
Eddie?
No, let's wrap up.
Is there any news on...
Have we got an ad to play or something?
Do you know what?
So-called move to Marseille? Is there any...
We'll round off on this. We'll round off on 2 super chats and an Eddie news. So apparently Marseille and Arsenal could be back at the table. That's what Romano's saying. They were looking at the Wahi guy who was really good for Lens against us last season. But I think it's a case of either or. The Moukoko deal apparently doesn't impact the Nketiah deal, so let's see. We'll see what happens with him, but he isn't on the bench, so we'll see if he gets some minutes today. Just some super chats to quickly round things off. Canadian Gunnar wants to let you know Turkish Tech Gyökeres isn't just a punt, he is an animal, so he rates him really, really highly.
He wasn't an animal for Coventry, was he?
Was he not? Or his
No,
numbers-
he was good for Coventry. Yeah, I mean, obviously he didn't post the numbers that he did last season in Portugal. What I would say about Gyökeres, I remember watching him in the playoff game against Luton, and obviously Coventry lost on that particular day. But I was taken by Gyökeres because I actually thought he was the best player on the pitch that day. So
21
he
goals and
definitely
10
has talent.
assists in 46.
Yeah,
in his
he's
last
the
season.
Coventry fans rated him.
Championship's not
man.
bad.
Definitely.
It's not, certainly not bad at all. Yeah. Final super chat came from Matt, who says, slightly off topic, but how are you feeling about Zubameni to Liverpool's linked for a few years? I'll keep it super brief. I think I don't know if he'll move. If he does, we'll see at the time. But I think Mourinho's the profile we need. I'll also just get this in from Lee Slim. Super chat says, big up the Mandem. Want to bet first goal conceded. If we concede, comes from the left hand side, making a mistake. So a little something for Zinchenko. I think
Confidence
that might be,
personified.
Let's see. But yeah, those are all the super chats. Thanks everyone for getting your super chats in.
Nice one.
And
Yep. Only leaves me to say thanks everybody for watching the Starting 11 show. Kickoff is at 6 o'clock. We'll be back on air. What time? James?
5:45.
5:45. Is that okay?
Half
with
an
you,
hour.
James?
Yeah, all good. I got
Yeah,
food
so I
outside.
hope you can join us. Promises to be a very good game. I'm very much looking forward to it. Two very good teams.
I'm much more excited now. Honestly, now I've seen the 11. Okay,
yeah.
let's see
go.
some football.
Yeah, bring it on. Thanks, guys, and be sure to tune in and watch the game at 5:45. We're out. Thank you very much.
Love.
It's the new season, and I'm going to be walking to every Premier League club in London on Don Robbie's football march to raise awareness and money for Prostate Cancer UK. I'm going on the ultimate scouting mission to find out what our London rivals have got in store this season. I'll be giving my passion a football purpose by supporting one of my favourite charities, Prostate Cancer UK. Did you know that prostate cancer is the most common cancer in men? 1 in 4 black men will get prostate cancer, and that's double the risk of white men. Don Robbie's football march is about raising funds to find better tests and treatments to save men's lives. So how can you help? Keep an eye out for the updates, share my stories about my challenge, and sponsor me to help me save men's lives. Search Don Robbie's football march on Just Giving or check out the links in my bio. I can't wait.